maybe you should drop your mic and I'll be the boss of this podcast.
Welcome to the WellPlayed DLC podcast, episode 4. I'm Zach. I'm here with Kieron, Jordan, and Edward for the very first time. How you going, boys?
Hey, good.
Yeah, I'm going good as well.
That's very good to hear.
I'm doing swell.
Excellent. Edward, you're the newbie. You can kick things off with what you've been playing recently.
I have actually been playing Divinity Original Sin 2, which I've been meaning to play for a long time, because I've been told that it's one of the best RPGs ever, and so far it's pretty good.
Did Jordan tell you that?
No, or I think he was one of many.
It is a very good RPG.
Have you played that, Kieron?
I've been meaning to also, but I haven't got around to it, and I probably will never get around to it because it's a big game.
It's 2-player, mate. You can join me.
It's 4-player.
Don't you dare reject me on air like Zach did to you.
He doesn't deserve that treatment.
Jordan, you still playing Zelda?
Yeah, I'm playing another Zelda now, actually. I'm playing Twilight Princess while
The
still
best
playing
one.
Minecraft and playing Dauntless.
That's a fair...
Spinning a lot of plates there, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I do.
How's Zelda? Is it still as good as you hoped?
Yes.
Oh, no, remember, sorry.
So, Zelda Twilight Princess has a very special place in my heart. It's my very first 3D Zelda, and I'm loving it as much as I did when I first played it.
Very lovely.
That was your first 3D Zelda? What about
Yeah.
all the N64 ones?
I didn't grow up with N64.
Oh, that's right. You're a wee baby. I forgot how
Yeah.
old you are.
Yeah.
I'm with Jordan on this one, and I'm old enough to know better.
You are.
I've played no Zelda games. How does that make you feel?
Get out.
Okay.
Unsurprised.
Thanks for the podcast, guys. Visit us on wellplayed.com.
Yeah, no, I just never, I guess a bit like Jordan, I just didn't grow up with the 64. I had the Mega Drive. Actually, no, I had the PlayStation, sorry, but before with the SNES and the Nintendo, I had the Mega Drive, so I never played any of the Mario games. Oh, sorry, not Mario, Zelda. I'm clearly off my head at the moment still. Yeah.
Well, then it's a perfect opportunity to go back and play them.
Look, I'm probably not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Kieron, what have you been playing?
I'm still thrashing some Team Sonic Racing, and
I'm so jealous.
I made the effort to go back and finish up Rage 2 and platinum it, so that's out of my life now.
You need dirty platinums. I can't even get time to go back and play, or just play a game, let alone go back and platinum it.
You're gonna make old mate Josh Risk jealous.
I'm not going to get anywhere near his brother's
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Very nice. Since you asked, which you didn't, I've been playing, actually not much. I played a little bit of Days Gone, finished that review, booted that out the door. Shout out to
Best
Sony
game
for
of the year,
the
or-
code. Sorry?
Game of the year?
Yes, definitely.
Why don't I believe you?
Is it game named Days Gone of the year?
Yes, it's Sony AAA exclusives of the year. Yeah, big call, I know.
Silence.
No, it was alright. It got a bit repetitive, but I'm still having a bit of fun with it. I haven't actually finished it yet, so orcs. But no,
I think I'm just getting exhausted on like the whole open world.
Are you playing it?
No, not Days Gone, but I've played
Alright.
basically the same game like a
That's
million
because
times.
that's because most games get open world wrong.
Pretty much.
I'm still having fun with it though, but I do think that it's not the best game that Sony has put out. But like I said in the review, it's good to see Sony bend back developing games. Hopefully they'll do a new Siphon Filter next.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
So our first topic of discussion tonight is going to be Dauntless, which you three have all been playing. Firstly, tell me what it is, because I don't know what it is, apart from Lockie Robertson. Shout out to Lockie Robertson for messaging me all about Dauntless.
Well,
And Jordan.
the easiest way to describe Dauntless is discount Monster Hunter. It tries to capture that whole gameplay loop centric vibe that Monster Hunter has, while trying to have its own spin on it. And to some extent, it succeeds with its own spin. And then in other facets of the game, it misses the mark very, very poorly. I've been playing it for a little bit. I think I'm like level 15 or something now. And yeah, it's not to say that the game isn't enjoyable. It's just a lot of the things that are almost like quality of life things that Monster Hunter has, which is weird to say because, Monster Hunter didn't understand what quality of life meant until World. Yeah, a lot of the, nice things that Monster Hunter does just aren't in there, and it kind of makes it feel a bit flat. So the combat just feels a lot flatter than Monster Hunter. The monsters don't recoil and react as well as the Monster Hunter ones do. I will admit though that some of the design and mechanics around the different monsters in Dauntless seems a bit more interesting than Monster Hunter. Like for instance, there's like this ice monster that you fight where you can't hit him when he has an ice shell up. You have to destroy these little minions that he summons, and then they give you the ability to get through it. Stuff like that's really fun because it keeps you on your toes. But it's a whole mess of little things that add up to a big picture that just doesn't feel as good. It's still a good game. It's I'd say the best target for it was for people that want to play Monster Hunter, but at a much more casual rate. It's a lot more forgiving, and it's a lot easier to understand than Monster Hunter.
It's also free to play.
There's that too.
Which
And
is
it's
a
crossplay.
It's a bonus and it's also a curse.
Yeah.
So
Because
if it's free to play, is there like microtransactions and stuff?
Oh,
like that?
yes, there are.
Yeah.
The game reminds you of that
Yeah.
every time you log in, and it annoys the shit out of me. I log in and it goes, hey, spend like $35 on the Elite Battle Pass. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. I just want to play the game. Why can't it be like Warframe,
Yeah, pretty
where
much.
the most it does to remind me that microtransactions exist are give me discounts on those microtransactions?
So how many have you bought, Jordan?
50.
Okay, I thought so. That was the exact number that I thought you'd buy.
50 transactions.
So you know me too well.
I do. But it's fun, yeah?
Yeah, it's fun. I think it's a game that'll be enjoyed more by people who aren't used to Monster Hunter, because there are little things like, grinding towards that gear that you want in Monster Hunter is super gratifying because, there are some items that you have a chance to get after getting specific breaks on enemies in Monster Hunter, and that just doesn't happen in Dauntless. The closest you get to it are the upgrade materials, which are still fairly common because they're not inherent to singular enemies. The upgrade materials are more or less inherent to every enemy of that elemental type. So it falls flat in that regard because it's just, you don't have that wonder of having to target this one monster to get something. You kind of can just do anything and upgrade everything.
Is it who is it made by?
It's made by an indie studio called Phoenix Labs. They've been developing it for quite a little bit. I actually played it when it was in alpha or beta about a year ago. And I mean, to their credit, they've done a lot of work on it and is in a much better state than what it was when I first tried it. Obviously, they've had help from Epic because they're using the Unreal Engine 4. And Epic are, cool dudes, and they help people that are using the engine. And obviously, given that it's on the Epic platform, they got access to crossplay, which is nice. But from what I'm hearing, it's a bit hard to actually coordinate proper crossplay because the party system's a bit of a mess. But I'll need to test that out a bit more.
Nice. And you guys are also playing it, Edward and Kieron. What do you think?
Kinda. My entire experience with it so far has been that I played through the tutorial and got to sort of the hub world and saw all the different types of microtransactions and currencies and premium passes and stuff, and I just closed it and deleted it and
Nice.
probably won't play it again. It was just
I played it with Jordan for a bit a few nights ago, and it was fun. Like, I never really got the whole gameplay loop of the Monster Hunter games. My friends in Scotland were like mad about it, but I think Dauntless was good in a casual kind of way, which kind of makes me a bit sick to say. But it's that kind
I
of
really no, I really wanted Dauntless to be like a my first Monster
Yeah.
Hunter, because then I could get into it
yeah, and I think
and not have to
it's that role based kind of multiplayer that I really think that games are really struggling with at the moment, because they're trying to make things equal for everybody. Something like Destiny or the Division and stuff. Although you have those kind of specific classes, Monster Hunter has a really good way of having those kind of streams where you can have specific people doing specific roles. I think, from what I've seen on the YouTube videos and stuff. And I think
yeah, that is something that they really drive home with that Final Fantasy crossover they had.
Yeah, and I think that Dauntless kind of scratches that itch a little bit. Like, you've got your gunners or your DPS or your tanks and stuff like that, and it does that in a way that's more accessible than having to spend hundreds of hours grinding up your hunter rank and stuff. So it was kind of fun. I think it's probably not something that I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to, but it was, if Jordan says, hey, do you want to jump on Dauntless for an hour or two, then I'd do it, because it was fun.
Hey, do you want to jump on Dauntless for an hour or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Nice. I actually forgot the question. Oh, yeah, so there's guns and stuff in there, is there?
Yeah.
So there are
Right.
a small handful of weapons. It's unfair to compare it to Monster Hunter in that regard, because, Capcom have had ages to add and refine things.
Are there guns
but-
in Monster Hunter? Like, is that a dumb question?
Yes, you have the heavy bow gun and the light bow gun.
Right.
But yeah, so they have these like dual pistol things, which are very, very reminiscent of Reaper from Overwatch. And yeah, in fact, watching people use those, it made me want to play Overwatch, to be perfectly honest. The animations are almost identical.
Sure, you didn't want to play Paladins or something like that?
I want to play Battleborn, man. Get old Radio
Battleborn.
Pitchford on my side.
I got to be honest, I've been playing a little bit of Overwatch the last few days as well.
Oh man, Overwatch is so good.
Does Paladins even exist anymore?
Yeah, Paladin still exists.
Okay.
But yeah, so outside of the guns, they got like another, I think, like 5 or 6 weapons. You have like a sword, a spear, a hammer or axe thing. I think you have like dual blades or something. I haven't tried it all out. I'm mainly just a sword dude, I just want to whack things and
Basic
be happy
bitch.
with it.
Well,
Don't we all?
no. Yes. Actually, Onimusha, yes, most definitely. We might move on, but another game that we'll just have a quick chat about a couple reviews that came out today, Tuesday, the 28th. Blood and Truth. I'm not sure if I think Kieron, you might have played it at a convention or something like that from memory.
I think I might have. Nah.
All right. Well,
what a great
No.
contribution.
No, I
have
have like little tiny
Alright.
bits. Yeah. Not enough to have formed an opinion, but I'm pretty keen to get stuck into it
Isn't it
tomorrow.
basically like from that London heist? It's like a continuation of
Yeah,
the story.
so it's like a full-fledged version of what that
Right.
was, basically.
Yeah, it came out today, and our VR lover and expert, Joshua Ricks, who gets his brother to do all his platinums, he reviewed it for us. And I'll just quickly read his little synopsis here, but he says that Blood and Truth brings a AAA quality shooter to PS VR with high presentation values, blockbuster set pieces, and fast-paced action. He gave it a 9 out of 10, I think, just scrolling down just
Wow.
to double check. Yeah, 9 out of 10. Which I think is probably, apart from Moss, is probably the highest VR score we've given, I think. No, not Moss. No, Astrobot, sorry.
Ghost Giant.
Oh, Ghost Giant 2.
Yeah, that was a recent.
Was that 9 as well?
I think it was either an 8.5 or a 9
Do you think that
from
the
memory.
VR
I gave
games
it.
usually get scored higher, or I guess a bit more leniently than regular games?
Um,
I don't know. It's tough because like if a VR game doesn't work, it doesn't
Yeah.
work. Like if it's not on point, it's just like not a lot of fun at all.
Yeah,
I think
well,
the only VR game that I've reviewed was the American Dream,
oh yeah,
which was a lot of fun, but it was I think I ended up giving it like a 7 because it overstayed its welcome a little bit towards the end.
I think I did when I had the VR unit. I did Robinson the Journey. I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that, well, I thought was pretty cool. It made me feel quite a bit sick, like it. So I think I scored it. I think I gave it like a 6 or something. Because apparently, like the motion,
comfort's a
yeah,
big
like
thing.
that, it was making quite a few people sick. But just to go back to Blood and Truth, there was just sort of what I can't remember who said it, but a website. I don't remember the name of them. I should have written that down, but they scored Blood and Truth 2.9 out of 10.
Wow.
Wow.
They're like the only one that is scored a low score. I think it's on like 80 on Metacritic or something. So it's
Yeah, most of the scores have been pretty
yeah.
high.
So I guess it's good to see that platform is not dying out and that they're still giving it some good games well into its.
I mean, from
life.
what I've seen of it, it looks like you're playing a Guy Ritchie film, which sounds amazing.
It's pretty much what Josh's review
Yeah,
was.
that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Like a couple of times. But yeah, no, it's like the VR community is going nuts over it as well. And there's that, and we had Everybody's Golf last week,
Right.
and there's Trover Saves the Universe in a few days. There's a new Five Nights at Freddy's VR game that came out today. So PSVR is going great guns.
And then isn't it there's rumors that Sony's developing the haptic gloves and stuff?
There's a new patent rumor about the new PSVR like almost every week. But the glove thing's cool.
very cool.
I would like to see that happen.
Yeah, I scrolled past the post. What are the gloves? I just thought they were like gloves, like you go golfing, you wear gloves.
No, they're just like I guess like a motion and haptic feedback controller. So
Yeah, so like the sensors that you would
Almost
normally
like
have on your
one-to-one.
Right.
Move controllers,
Yeah.
I think they're built into the gloves,
Okay.
and then you get like the vibration feedback like you would holding a controller and stuff.
Nice.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Sony does there because they've said that they're not releasing a new VR day and date with the PS5. They'll just continue supporting the existing model for now.
You'd think.
But interesting to see what they do
You'd
after
think
that.
one would come out. Well, within a couple of years after PS5.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, the technology around VR is kind of moving in leaps and bounds anyway. So it'd be unsurprising if they did release something a few years after the PS5 to sort of leverage that processing power.
Any of you guys going to pick up Blood and Truth?
Yeah, I think I'll grab it tomorrow. It's out
Oh,
tomorrow.
is it
so
tomorrow?
I'll
Is it?
pick
Sorry, I
up for
thought it was
sure.
today.
Yeah.
I'll borrow Kieran's copy.
I mean, I'll pick it up, but I don't have a PSVR, so it'll be a bit of a waste.
Come to my house, we'll play it.
Oh yeah, it's a 5-minute walk, isn't
We
it?
had this last week. Stop inviting people to play.
Yeah, so the other game which comes out tomorrow, on Wednesday the 29th, is a little indie story game called, I think it's Draugen is the name of it. It's by Red Thread Games, which did Dreamfall chapters. I don't know if any of you guys have
I know
played
Dreamfall.
that.
Yeah, it's a good series.
It's one of those games that I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick this up when it's on sale. No, never did. And then I forgot it even existed until this game. But yeah, just to give you a quick recap of what it is. If you played a game like sort of Firewatch or Vanishing of Ethan Carter, it's very much like that. It's only short. It took me 3.5 hours to finish it. And the gameplay is very, it's very simple. You don't really sort of do anything like you kind of do in, in those games as well. So you'll basically you're a recluse named Edward Harden, and you go to this, like.
Not to be confused with our Edward Softon.
I'm also a recluse.
So you go to this Norwegian coastal town village called Gravik with Edward's ward, Lissy, and you're there to try and find Edward's missing sister, who, according to a letter that Edward received, she is around this vicinity. And yeah, basically you go through the village, and there's no one actually in the village, which is if you've seen any of the trailers, that's made known to you. And yeah, I guess the experience is just watching Edward's sort of mental state unfold. It is probably the simplest way of putting it, while trying to find his sister. And yeah, and the voice acting and the writing is fantastic, as you would expect in a game like that, because they don't really have to focus on sort of anything else too much. And the visuals are great as well. So yeah, if you do like those sorts of interactive stories or walking simulators, then this is definitely one that you should check out. Yeah, our review will go live a bit later tonight, but embargo will obviously have gone by the time this episode comes out. I know that Kieron will definitely enjoy it. Ed, as we discussed pre-show, not so sure, given that you haven't sampled any of the other flavors.
I have played a few walking simulators. Like I played Gone Home and Tacoma and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm a fan.
And Jordan, I don't know does Jordan play those games?
Nah, not my type. No. I don't think they're bad. It's just they're not for me.
Yeah, I mean,
you should play it just because the main guy's name is Edward.
True.
You know what? You've convinced me. I'm going to think about playing it.
Yeah, so I mean, they've done a great job with the soundtrack is fantastic. I was telling Kieron last night that there were times where I was just like the environmental sounds of the wind, and that when I was playing it on Saturday night, I was kind of falling asleep just because I was just sort of resting for a couple minutes, and I could just hear the wind and stuff. It was like everything is just really, really well done. It's very tight story experience. So if you like those kind of games, definitely check it out. It's on Windows at the moment, and it is coming to consoles, PC and Xbox later in the year.
If everyone's gone in the town, is it told through like text-based stuff? Like you find kind of diaries and journals?
Yeah, so you investigate, I guess, there's a handful of areas that you can go, and you investigate those areas, and you find letters that have been left behind. And without going into too much detail, there's another, I guess, sub-story that you discover and uncover as you go on. So basically you find out what's happened to the town and that sort of thing. And why, and it's it's actually quite dark. It's not a joyful game, really. But yeah, so you'll interact with pages of diaries and photos and things like that.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away because it's it's very simple, and you could easily just go, oh hey, this is what But no, definitely check it out. I know that Kieron will. We'll move on to some other discussions. So what I wanted to do this week is I wanted to talk about 5 games that are coming this year or are scheduled to come this year that we're all sort of keen for. One by one, we'll sort of go from 5 down to our most anticipated of the year. But the reason why I wanted to do it this week is because I'm curious to find out after E3 if there's anything that is announced or given dates that maybe didn't have a 2019 date that maybe might push into that list. We'll read out a couple of community responses as well to that. So who wants to start with their 5th game that they're keen for? I mean, you can give a brief explanation of why if you would like.
Are we going to go like we each do our 5 and then each do our 4? Or are we going to go 4?
No, so just do one by one. So we'll go like in a circle. The reason why is just because if people have multiple games, we can sort of, because you don't want someone to have the same 5 games as you, and then
true.
Like I know that Ed's basically copied and pasted my list. So,
well, in that case, why don't I go first?
I think we've all copied and pasted your list.
True. All right, Ed, you can kick it off.
Cool. So my number 5 would be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
That I've been kind of craving a good Star Wars game for a long time since there was one on the Nintendo 64 called, I think it was called Shadows of the Empire, I think. And I was in love with that game. It was so much fun because that whole universe is just full of like crazy good lore. And the movies, I actually like the movies, but people have kind of given them a lot of flack in the recent years. And of course, Star Wars Battlefront and that whole kind of saga
You mean
has
the
been a bit
perfect,
disappointing.
perfect two games?
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to they've only released a cinematic kind of story trailer at the moment, but it looks like it's going to be pretty epic.
Nice. Did anybody else have that in their list?
Yeah, that'll be my fifth most as well. Partly
Okay.
the only reason I'm really excited for it is because it's I love Star Wars, but mainly because it's Respawn. They're like
Yeah.
the only developer under EA that you can really trust because Zampella is just an awesome dude and doesn't give a shit about those shareholders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kieran, yours?
My number 5 is Concrete Genie.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar
That's
with that one.
Is that the VR one and standalone game?
I think they recently announced a VR component to it, yeah, but it's basically an open world like platformer / puzzle game where the main character can draw graffiti onto walls and have it come to life. Which reminds me of a PS2 game called Magic Penguin, where you could draw monsters and the game would like figure out how to animate them properly and translate them into game mechanics. And this is kind of doing the same thing. So
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about that. And also just kind of looks like Infamous for kids in its art style, which is awesome.
Ooh.
Very exciting. My fifth one, I think you guys will get a good laugh out of this. It will be a Sniper Ghost Warrior contract from my good friends at CR Games. Shout out to CR Games. Yeah, as you know, I'm a big Sniper Ghost Warrior fan. I don't really quite know why, to be honest, because not pretty much all the games they've released have been average to terrible. But yeah, no, there's just something about that series that I quite like. So, and I'm glad that they've dropped in this one here. So number 3, they went the open world and tried to compete with sort of the big boys in that ring, and
Try to take the crown from Homefront too.
I think that's like
that's a tough ask.
Well fused to the head of Homefront, mate. That crown's not coming off. But yeah, the open world game direction, was a poor choice, and yeah, they even admitted that they stuffed up by trying to go open world, and it was just heaps of glitches in that. But this one, Contracts, it's apparently going to be a lot more tighter and more sort of tactical and just sort of smaller mission based gameplay from what I can tell. So yeah, I'm keen for that. I'm hoping we hear something at E3 for that one. For number 4, Jordan, you can go to number 4.
For number 4, I have Medieval. Because I am a big Medieval fan, and even though I'm skeptical about what they're doing with the remake, it doesn't mean I'm not excited for it. I'm very excited to get my hands on it come October, and yeah, I'm just hoping that the changes they do don't break the tone of the game too much.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I reckon I'll check it out. Ed, you?
Yeah. My number 4 was The Outer Worlds, which is the kind of new sci-fi first-person role-playing game from Obsidian, who did Fallout New Vegas.
Is that, because I can't remember, is that a Microsoft published game, or is this before they joined forces with Microsoft?
I think it's before.
Yeah, I think it's before.
Yeah, okay.
But I was a big fan of Fallout New Vegas, and I just love that whole genre, and sci-fi is a big thing. I think it kind of gives me vibes of like Borderlands, but a bit more polished, I guess.
Don't let Randy hear you say that.
Yeah. Not to say anything bad about Borderlands. I love Borderlands, but this kind of looks like a Fallout meets Borderlands kind of thing.
Cool.
Set in space. So I'm keen.
Very exciting. Kieran, number 4?
My number 4 is Sea of Solitude,
That game looks
Oh,
dope.
nice.
which was announced during EA's press conference at last E3 as part of the EA Originals program. I can't really say much about it because I've been trying to keep radio silent on it. So all I've seen is that first E3 trailer. But after seeing that and sort of hearing the game director's comments and stuff on stage, it looks like it's going to be my jam.
That's the German team, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one that when
Yeah.
I think was that the game that when they went behind the curtain or whatever, they were like, "Oh, we did it" or something like that. Like they were really excited about their
yeah,
Yeah.
they were really genuine and sweet and stuff
That's
up on
really
stage as well. So like that almost sold it alone.
It does look pretty cool.
But it's just one of those. Yeah, it's one of those games that's obviously going to touch on some pretty heavy themes, but do it in like a really beautiful and artistic manner, which is pretty cool.
Sweet. My number 4 is Control from Remedy Games, which actually
That game
comes
looks
out
pretty
in
good.
August something, August 27th, I think. Let's have a look.
Around
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if whoever's listening, but you guys know that I loved Quantum Break.
Mm.
One of the best games ever. And this game looks very sort of similar to that. And Remedy is a very, very cool developer. And I'm actually quite excited to play as a female, because a lot of the games that I seem to play all have like male protagonists. So I'm keen to sort of kick some ass with a female. And
Future is female, man.
it is. And
Speaking of Control, every time I see like the box art for that game, it really reminds me of Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow.
it does actually.
Mm.
I'm looking at it now, and it definitely does. Sorry, Jordan, did you say you had Control on your list, or did I?
Oh
miss
no.
it?
That game just looks really cool.
Yeah. No, I'm keen to check it out. Number 3, Edward.
My number 3 is Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yes.
I thought that would be
I'm
on yours.
so keen for that. It's just like everything that I love rolled into one. Killing Nazis and 80s synth. Like, it's going to be so good.
And females.
I was
That's everything.
with females, yeah. And like, I was, I played the first Wolfenstein and then played the Old Blood thinking that it was just some kind of spin-off DLC. And it's like one of my favorite first-person shooters ever. Like, Wolfenstein is just, they've tweaked it so well that it's just such a fun experience. And I'm really keen to see what they do, especially because it's co-op. Like, I think that's really going to add a totally different flavor. And now I just need a partner.
It'll either work really well or it'll go horribly wrong.
Yeah. But I think that is, your choice of partner, I guess.
That is true.
Did anybody else have Wolfenstein on their list?
Yeah, I had Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I had it as my number 2.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've loved both the New Colossus and the New Order. I don't know which one I love more. It's
See,
It's a
I
tough call.
think I'd say I love New Colossus more because it's just a bit more ridiculous.
Yeah.
oh no,
Especially, I really like the gadgets you get in New Colossus.
I think I love just the story of the New Order a little bit more,
Mm.
and how it's like a reboot kind of thing. So it was
Yeah.
it was still sort of new.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
And I thought the soundtrack and that in the first one was awesome, and just I think the voice acting for BJ and that is also super well done.
Did you play the Old Blood?
I did.
Yeah.
I've reviewed. No, I didn't do New Colossus, but I reviewed Old Blood for the website. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't love it as much as I thought. It was a bit silly from memory. The final.
Yeah.
Do you play those games on? I think Kieron and I have had this conversation. This is where I get to super flex how wicked I am. But who else has played those games on super hard?
Oh, me.
Me, of course.
Well, we can all flex. You're
Mate, I
good.
played The Witcher 3 on Death March, and that was tough.
I reckon the New Colossus was the hardest game I ever played. I think.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
Sounds like you need to do a Soul Level 1 run with no dodging for Dark Souls 1.
Mate, I'm not going to play Dark Souls because I just get angry about it.
When I play Dark Souls, I just get Jordan to come in and beat the boss for me.
It took me about 40 minutes to get past the first bit in Lords of the Fallen. Like, I'm not going to get past Dark Souls. Yeah, that the court level. Was it
Oh, that
the
is
court?
brutal. That
Yeah,
frustrated
that's
me
rough.
so
I
hard.
was actually at that part. I had to knock it down another to one of the the second highest difficulty, just so I could get past it, because I was just getting way too angry.
Why don't you just get good?
I can't. Once you play bad games, you get bad at video games.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
I must have played so many bad games.
Jordan, your number 3, or was that Wolfenstein?
My number 3 was Wolfenstein.
Okay, Kieran.
My number 3 is Biomutant,
Oh, yeah.
which hopefully will still come out this year. It's pegged for this year.
I reckon it's got it.
amazing.
It has to at this
I
point.
think.
Like they've delayed it that much.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's basically like Just Cause meets Jade Empire, but with furry animals. So that's all the explanation you really need. Like the customization looks crazy. Like the way you can customize your main characters, like fur and coloring and moves and stuff. Like everything they promise has been super intense. So it's probably why it's taken them so long to actually finish up developing. But yeah,
How long's it been?
yeah, fingers
developing?
crossed for.
It was announced,
Ah.
I think, in E3 2019. Was it 2016?
Would have been like, I think it would have been 2016.
Yeah.
It was meant to look like, it seemed like it was going to launch in 2017, and then it seemed like it was going to launch in 2018. So
Yeah, well.
So
Yeah.
2021.
probably.
My number 3 was actually Greedfall, which is in a similar sort of boat to Biomutant. They announced it a couple of years ago. It was meant to come out last year, but hopefully looks like it's finally going to come out this year. So, and Ed would be very keen for this game, I reckon. Do you know anything about it?
No, I never heard of it.
So it's by my boys at Focus Home Interactive. Or, sorry, they publish it, but it's by Spiders,
Yeah.
who did
The brilliant
great thing.
Technomancer.
and then they did the other game, Blood Bound by Flame, I think, which was an absolute awesome game. I loved it. God, I hated it. I know, but they always seem to have like very cool ideas, but poorly executed games. And Greedfall looks like it might be sort of turning a little bit to not too shitly executed games. But the story is like it's like a colonial kind of fantasy game. So you are a settler and you go to like this foreign land that's obviously got foreign creatures and stuff like that. And yeah,
you people, Zach.
Sorry.
Foreign people.
No, like they're actual creatures and stuff. Like there's, and yeah, you basically got to. I think you can choose whether you want to be like a colonial asshole or you can like help, the natives, there. And so it's all RPG and it looks super super cool. So yeah, I'm pretty keen for that. Although RPGs don't usually tend to get all my attention all the way through. But this premise looks very, very cool.
Nice.
Can I just point out that we're counting down our top 5 most anticipated games of the year, and your number 3 is a game that you just described as maybe not being too shit.
Look, that's all he has to ask
Zach
of
in
a
a
game.
nutshell.
Well, my number 5 was Cyber Ghost Warrior Contracts. Like,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not the
bar is
best
low.
games of the year. It's the most anticipated.
Yeah.
So.
no, I just
Yeah.
think the idea and the premise looks very, very cool.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
So I hope it's not Technomancer-ish. It's funny.
Another Mars
Will it
Warlogs.
beat Troll and I?
Oh yeah, they did that too. But Kieran,
Yeah.
different Kieran, he reviewed the Technomancer, and he quite enjoyed it until he hit like a game-breaking bug.
I
at the very
remember
end.
that.
At the very end of the game, he got this bug, and we spoke to, because it was still under embargo, and we spoke to Spiders, and we're like, is there any way around this? He'd probably put like 20 or something hours into it, and they're like, no. So he basically, the score went from I think like a 6.5 or something to like a 4. So
Yikes.
yeah, sorry Spiders.
Mm.
Number 2, Jordan.
Number 2, Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Nice.
I'm a big Pokemon fan. It's one of the series that I grew up playing and I still play. And so seeing it on the Switch would be awesome. And I loved Pokemon Let's Go. So, let's go Sword and Shield.
I played Let's Go for about maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and it was good, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't capture that magic of the start of a Pokemon game for me.
That's because Pokemon isn't about magic. It's about, capturing these animals out of their habitats and making them your
It's
slaves.
like, I'm trying to cast Fireball and I just can't.
Exactly.
Cool. Ed, your number 2?
My number 2 was Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Yes, that game looks so good.
I loved the first game. I played it really, really late and loved it. And then I played Ori and Will of the Wisps at PAX last year and just didn't want to leave because it was so much fun.
Ori and the Blind Forest was the very first game I played on the Xbox One.
Oh, it's so good.
It's pretty much the only reason to own an Xbox One.
But it's on PC, so.
Well, there you
And
go. No reason.
I have to give a massive shout out to my boy Kieron for telling me to play it, because I just was kind of like, yeah, maybe I'll try it. And he was like, no, dude, play it. And yeah, it was amazing.
You, from memory, you played it a little bit at PAX last year.
Yeah, he did just say
did.
that.
Oh, did he? Sorry.
Is your memory from 30 seconds ago?
I was reading something. I was in the middle of reading something. Sorry. Well, that's awkward.
No, I did play it at PAX and it was awesome.
Nice. Kieran, yours?
My number 2 is Judgment, which
That's
is the
next
new
month.
game. Yeah, new game from the guys behind the Yakuza series. It's pretty much a
with the guy
pretty
that
much a
loved,
spin-off.
the guy that loved
Yeah.
to sniff the cocaine and lost his job.
Yeah, correct. It's the game where they literally took it off the shelf, replaced the character model and actor for one of the characters, and only just released it a couple of days ago in Japan because the main actor was caught doing coke. So,
And is that the one that's based on a celebrity's life?
So he was
I
just
don't know.
method acting.
I think there may be something in that, yeah. But it's pretty much, just a spin-off of the Yakuza series, except you play a hard-boiled detective who takes photos and punches people in the face.
Can
And
you
it looks
sing
awesome.
karaoke though? Because that's all I need from a Yakuza game.
You would have to be able to sing karaoke, or otherwise I'm returning it.
So it would be Yakuza meets Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Detective Kiryu.
Pretty much.
All right, our number 1s. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Wait, what was your number 2?
Do you have a number 2?
My number 2 was Wolfenstein Young.
Oh, right.
Ah, right.
Gee, I did say that. God. That's right.
Sorry, I zoned out. I was reading something else.
Well played. Edward, you can go now with your number 1.
My number 1.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
I know what this is going to be.
Yeah, I've been banging on about this game for like years. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is my most anticipated game this year because it just looks insane. I love Dragon Quest Builders 1, and it was the first Dragon Quest game I played, and it was mind-blowing. And this just looks like that, but a million times better. So, it comes out next month, and I can't wait.
What even is it? Like
It's like it's a Dragon Quest spin on like the Minecraft formula, but more of an
Right.
RPG than Minecraft.
Yeah. And it's like it has a like you have a reason to build stuff. So it's the story of the first one was that you play as the builder coming in to rebuild the kingdom after like the cataclysmic events of the first game. And so you're kind of setting the stage for the future to continue, basically. So I don't know what the story of the second one is because I'm trying to avoid as much as I can so that I'm blown away when I play it. But it's just a lot of fun.
Nice. Jordan, your number 1?
The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake. I am
Yes.
so unbelievably excited for that game that, I will throw anything for it.
What about your very expensive Dark Souls statue?
I've sold it.
Okay, you sold it. Well, that's. Yeah, I guess you're not going to throw that then, eh?
No.
When does that come out?
It's just 2019 at the moment.
Okay. Cool.
Probably be somewhere within the next 20 years or something.
Nice. Kieran?
My most anticipated game, and kind of like Biomutant, this is one that could slip out of 2019, but hopefully doesn't, and it's Psychonauts 2, which the only reason I'm iffy about the release date there is because of that whole issue with Starbreeze that we spoke about a couple episodes
No,
back.
Starbreeze are fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, well, then we should be all good, as long as they don't take too long with it. They haven't shown too much. But yeah, the original Psychonauts is easily one of my favorite games of all time. Definitely my favorite platform of all time. And I think I invested roughly $250 to $300 in their crowdfunding campaign for the second one. So
nice.
it has to be the
You
top of my
say
list.
If you had done 350, you might have been able to say Starbreeze.
Do you get any dev updates on that? Or
Yeah, they do fairly regular updates, just about like general development stuff. Like they're still keeping pretty tight-lipped about the game itself, but it's definitely going to be at E3. So hopefully we get to see, like, I think they're going to show like the first proper gameplay sequence, which would be awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, my number one is going to be another game that'll blow you away. I know it will. The Sinking City.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was meant to come out in January from memory. I think January 21st.
I think it was. Yeah.
Or it might have even been February.
I think it was Feb.
Yeah, I think it was. And then they pushed it back to June, just to try and get it out of that busy period with all those games that were launching on February 22nd, and then they all moved as well to the week before.
Didn't Call of Cthulhu come out around about that time as well?
No, that came out last year.
Jeez, get with it, Ed. Come on.
Yeah, jeez, mate, far out. Yeah, no, that came out late last year. But this one, yeah. So this is, this is by Frogwares, the guys that did the Sherlock Holmes games, which are actually pretty cool if you've ever played them. I don't know if anybody here has played them.
I played the most recent one. That's actually really good.
Yeah, it's
All things considered, anyway.
janky as bloody Jordan's jorts, but you know they're
You promised you wouldn't tell.
sorry, but yeah, like it, you know, and that's kind of, if you can sort of gather from my list, that's kind of appeals to me. I love a bit of jank. So yeah, it's set in. It's not sort of set on any specific H.P. Lovecraft works. It's sort of just based on his whole entire universe, and yeah, it's like a semi. Well, it's not actually. It was early doors. It was described as a semi-open world, but they sort of removed that from all the marketing that, because I don't think they really wanted to push that sort of aspect of it. But it's set in this city of Oakmont, yeah, and you play as a detective who's obviously going insane because, you know, it's Lovecraft after all. But yeah, I've actually got access to a preview build at the moment. I've had it for a couple of weeks, but I've only managed to play about 30 minutes of it last night. And I can already tell from the first 30 minutes that it's gonna be my kind of jam. So when that launches on June 27th, I'll be right around it.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll just quickly read out one of the couple community responses we got to this.
Did Jordan get a number one?
Yeah, he said.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Rude.
Sorry, he was reading.
I feel like it's worth noting that my entire top 5 could change with E3.
Yeah.
There's so many games that I'm waiting for dates for, and so many games that I think are going to be announced that yeah.
Yeah, so this is why I wanted
It's going to
to
be
do
an
it
interesting,
before,
yeah.
because I look at my top, and I've got like a few little ones here that I was like, oh, do I add it in? And they've all pretty much got. The only game that doesn't have a date that I didn't add in was Untitled Goose Game.
That delay broke my heart.
So, but everything else has all got dates.
Yeah. Post E3 show is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that's. I mean, you know, they might just go, "Hey, here's fucking Dino Crisis. What up?
Yeah.
It's coming out
Yeah.
now." I'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, all right, okay, Sing City. Sorry, you're off. Yeah. So the community responses are. We had a couple. We got. Oops, I just closed it. There it is again. We had one from Daniel Bull. So shout out to Daniel Bull, and he says that he's excited for the new Ghost Recon. And then we had old mate Lockie Robinson, big fan. Shout out to Lockie Robinson again. He has listed one of yours, Edward, Dragon Quest Builders 2. He's quite a big fan.
Lachlan is a massive Dragon Quest fan. It doesn't surprise me.
Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, that almost made my list. That looks awesome.
And also Fire Emblem 3 Houses. 3 Houses? Sorry, I think I misread that. Yeah, Fire Emblem 3 Houses on Nintendo Switch. He says it's been 12 years since the mainline Fire Emblem game has been on Nintendo home console. As much as I loved all the mainline games on 3DS, it's about time Fire Emblem returned to a home console, and it's finally coming to Switch in July, and he cannot wait. Ian Nichols also says he's keen for Last of Us 2, but I don't think that is going to come out this year, which is a good segue into what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, slight chance.
So we'll jump into some news, some of the hot news. We'll talk about The Last of Us 2. If any of you have been paying attention to sort of all the big websites like WellPlayed over the last couple of days, we published a story that broke sort of last night. I noticed it first on Twitter by, I think his name is Nebel or something, who basically found a Spanish website, Game Reactor, and they were reporting that there will be a Last of Us 2 trailer this week. That'll drop this week, as well as a release. and the game is to be released this fall. There was another website as well which also posted this information, also Spanish, so maybe the Spanish know something that we don't. But the reason why this is sort of intriguing, or at least to me, I believe, is we're also going to be getting some Death Stranding news from Kojima. Is that today or is that tomorrow? It's tomorrow, isn't it?
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, so it kind of, and this is all sort of pre-E3 as well, so it does sort of make sense that maybe we'll get updates on Sony's bigger titles. Yeah. I thought that we'd get at least one update in their last State of Play, but clearly I don't know idea.
Yeah.
Isn't
if you were...
also...
Sorry,
you go.
I was just going to say, it almost feels like Sony's gearing up to do something big pre-E3 after saying they weren't going to be at the show and kind of steal the thunder from everybody.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting if that was their plan all along, just to be like, all right, we're not going to do a conference, and then in the week leading up to it, just drop 2 or 3 trailers and release dates for
a console announcement. Wouldn't even be surprising given how open they've been about details and the fact that Microsoft might be announcing a console, because then you've got all the vendors at E3 that'll be able to say, it's coming to this platform and this platform as well. So, it's wishful thinking for sure, but it'd be really cool if they just did like a massive blowout 2 weeks before E3.
On the
and then isn't there the we're due to get an update on the Final Fantasy VII remake in June as well?
That's going to be at E3.
Yeah,
I think there's been rumors of a playable demo at E3 that might even launch for the public on the same, like a surprise demo drop as well, which is kind of cool.
Oh, like they did before 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So with Last of Us 2, who actually reckons it'll come out this year?
I think there's a chance. I think they've been pretty tight-lipped about it on purpose, and maybe it feels like they're not getting anywhere with it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Because they did state recently, or they being Naughty Dog, or someone from Naughty Dog, I can't remember who it was, it might have been the director, that they actually had just wrapped up the last bit of production or something like that. Yeah. They
finished shooting for the cutscenes and stuff, and then they did recently post an ad for jobs for people to help them finish up development as well. So I don't know what that means in terms of how close they are to the end, but
if it does come this year, when do you reckon it is? November?
It'd have to be late, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so as we just said, the Kojima has tweeted that they're going to be dropping some Death Stranding news on the 29th of May, so I guess we can talk about that next week as well. What do we all think that will be? Because as always, the branding for this game is just...
I think he's going to announce that there's going to be another trailer that we're not going to understand.
Yeah. It almost seems like maybe it could be a multiplayer announcement, or like at least finally talking about how the multiplayer aspect is going to work, even though we don't know how the game itself works. But like the teaser has like the create the rope tagline, which I think kind of ties into their connection theme that they have running through the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Kojima fan, at least in the last few years. Sorry, I just think it's some of his stuff has just gotten a bit too crazy. But I'm curious to see what this game is all about, and I do like a bit of Norman, a bit of Daryl Dixon. So I'll.
So you don't like Kojima, but you do like The Walking Dead. The fuck?
Well,
Wow.
Fucking roasted.
The show,
class.
the show got a bit crap.
Just a bit, yeah, just a bit.
I think it might have been season 6. How many seasons do they have now?
Too many.
I think it's like 9 seasons.
Yeah, I think it was like season 5. I was like, yeah, no, I'm starting to be done, man. Anyway, but I'm keen. You know, Daryl's a bit of a boss. He should have been in Days Gone. I would have given
He
that a
should
10.
have been in Silent Hills.
Well,
I mean, technically he was, so...
Other news we got here is last week, the publisher of Firewatch, known as Panic, announced a new little handheld console called Playdate.
Yeah.
I know
It
this
looks
would
dope.
get Kieron's jorts quite tight, even from just looking at it. But yeah, essentially, do you want to chat about it, Kieron?
Well, I mean, I think like the important thing is to look at it as more of a curiosity than like a gaming platform. But the idea basically is they wanted to make something fun and sort of do something different. So it's a little console. It's only like a black and white LCD screen. Obviously, the big feature that everyone keeps sort of talking about is the fact that it has a crank on the side of it. And the idea is they're going to sort of update it every week with a new game. I think they have like 12 games lined up. And they've got like heaps of talent on board from developers of things like Katamari Damacy and stuff. And so like the first game is like a crank based game. I don't know what they've got lined up after that, but yeah, it looks kind of like it's 150 US, so it's not a cheap thing. It's a bit of an investment, but it looks like a fun little time waster curiosity kind of thing.
Do we think the crank powers it as well? Like you crank it to play?
No.
I hope not.
No, it doesn't. No, I think they've said that the crank is just purely for mechanics, like if you need to run or something.
Cool,
I wish I could remember the title of the first game. I mean, I probably could just look it up now.
I'm looking at it here. It's Kranken's Time Traveling Adventure.
Yeah, so like the first game is entirely crank control, which I don't know what that means, but I want to find out.
What so at 150 US, that's probably roughly what 250 Australian, maybe.
I reckon 250 to 300 including shipping if they're going to be selling them direct from. I don't know how they're going to be selling them, so
what price do you think for you prices it out of a purchase?
I think not factoring in shipping, I'd tap out at 250.
Yeah. Like I'm keen to sort of check it out and have one, but yeah, 250 it's a lot of money to drop on something that I might go, this is not for me.
Like it's definitely
the-
it's a curiosity. It's a toy. It's not the kind of investment you'd make lightly.
Yeah.
But it's
It
cool.
just seems like a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, and this is what I think it's actually very clever by Panic to like do something like this, because they're essentially reselling like oldish technology like back to you at like a high premium, black and white screen kind of thing, like
Crank.
old, crank,
Super old.
the sort of the B&A, sort of like the Game Boy, and people were loving it. Like the response has been crazy good. I thought it'd be not bad, but I thought there'd be a few more people being like, "Oh, this is," as you said, a bit of a gimmick. But everyone seems to.
Big question. Do we think it's backlit?
Didn't they? I think they said that it wasn't, didn't they?
I think if you crank it, there's a crank powered torch at the back.
I don't actually know the answer to that. Yeah, I thought I read
No,
something.
I don't think it is.
No.
because that'll be nostalgic from playing. Like
You just get one of those USB plug-in light, like little curly lamps.
No, get one of those giant things you used to get for the Game Boy that you had to like put 6 double A's in.
Those were the days.
We've got something here for Bloodstain, but I don't know. Is that you, Jordan?
Oh,
No.
That was something I was going to bring up.
Okay. Go for it.
Because I figured you guys might not have seen this, but everyone's kind of aware of Bloodstained, yeah, like the spiritual successor to Castlevania that got kickstarted a while back and like was crazy successful. They just started announcing sort of their DLC lineup, and there's a lot of free DLC and stuff for it, but they've also announced a DLC, like a paid DLC pack that includes items that were originally promised to backers as part of their rewards tiers. And it's a little bit of an interesting one because they did send out surveys a while ago asking people how comfortable they would be or what it would take for them to be comfortable with them releasing that content later. And I think the overwhelming response was, yeah, if it's priced fairly in a way that still makes it special for the people that backed it. But so they've sort of gone ahead with that. I think it's like $7 US for 2 items, but there's already been a bit of backlash. And I just wanted to like ask you guys what you thought of that, like whether you'd be comfortable with backing something and getting an exclusive DLC reward that then people 2 months after launch can actually just buy for themselves.
It's a weird one because I know back in the early days of Warframe, when they were getting backer support, they promised something called Excalibur Prime, and for people that play Warframe, that actually means something. But they couldn't actually offer that to anyone else in the entirety of Warframe. Even today, they can't access it because if they offer it to people that didn't back it, legally, everyone that backed them can actually sue them, which is a really weird case. But it's a tough one because, if you always want to feel like you're being rewarded for backing, a project like this.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to make people who weren't able to back it feel like they're being punished for not being able to. Whether it be a mix of like, they hadn't heard about the crowdfunding campaigns or they just couldn't afford it at the time. You don't want to punish them for that. And so it's a really tough one because there will always be the really entitled people on both sides.
I think as well, it's probably less important I'm guessing if it's Castlevania style, that it's a single player game.
Yeah, it's not like Warframe where it's...
so it's not like it's some kind of affected by it. Like a flair kind of thing that you can show off to people. Like it's not going to affect a backer's game that someone else has that content as well. I'm not a big fan of any kind of exclusivity with content. I've never backed a game, so I guess I'm from the great unwashed of being like, give us everything. And I do understand that, people who back games often do so to get those kind of exclusive rewards, but is that a case where they had, like, that was part of their backing rewards and maybe they also get, like, I know some games do, like, in-game kind of characters, like NPCs or... Yeah,
there's a bunch of other stuff as well, but I think the notion was that it was previously described as backer exclusive.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the publisher of, like, the developers have said as well, it's not about making money, like, that they're selling this. They're selling it at the price it's at because that's the response that they got from their backer surveys asking how people wanted them to approach it. So
yeah,
I guess, like, the communication was open and honest at least.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it, personally. I've backed a few things on Kickstarter and I wouldn't mind if they did that.
Would you like a backer exclusive version of Agony where the game is good?
No, I just want the bad game.
Nobody's getting that though, yeah.
There were actual backer exclusive things in that Kickstarter that I didn't even get, and I didn't actually even chase up because I didn't want them. But the Trooper Book game that we spoke about last week, I think, that was actually Kickstarted, and I couldn't afford to back it when it was live, and then when I could afford it, it finished. And there are things on that. I mean, this is a little bit different because these are sort of physical rewards. But yeah, there are things that I would have liked to have bought had I had the chance. So I guess I can kind of see where they come, where people who can't afford to buy it at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
I
No,
just think it's kind of petty to like get angry about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's just it's the people that are upset. Obviously, the people that thought that their items were going to be more exclusive than they'll end up being, which is it's 100% like it's just that entitled kind of petty attitude that.
But I mean,
people
if
have,
the
unfortunately.
developer effectively communicated it as well as Kieron has told us, I mean, there's no real reason to get upset about it because it's not like they're pulling
Yeah.
the wool over your eyes. They're being open and
Yeah.
honest about it.
Yeah,
And like, why wouldn't you want someone to enjoy the game that you enjoy as well in the same kind of level?
mate,
gamers.
I've been trying to do that for a long time, but you guys don't seem to like any of my games.
I like your games. You've given me a few games.
No, I'm just joking. Have you played Homefront: The Revolution?
I have not.
I have.
Don't do it.
I have a spare copy.
As someone who has played it on Zach's recommendation, I can confirm, don't do it.
It's not that bad.
Pretty average.
Yeah, it
Yeah, well, average is good to me.
is.
So Jordan, you've got here some AMD, your little Jordan's
Yes.
Tech Corner.
Yeah.
Little
so
Janky
here's-
Jordan's Tech Corner.
Here's my segment for the podcast. No, so for people in the tech space that know that Computex has just come around, and a lot of people were curious about what AMD would have to offer. You know, Intel and Nvidia did stuff, but it was kind of nothing, especially when compared to AMD. So they first spoke about their Navi GPU line, which they said it will be releasing sometime in July. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if it was July 7th, because that's when the CPUs are coming out, and it also is their whole 7 thing, because they're at 7 nanometer lithography. But they showed some performance numbers, and it's actually looking pretty good. They only showed the mid-range one, which was a good choice, because AMD love to focus on the mid-range first, and then do top end. And they showed it competing very well against the RTX 2070, which isn't mid-range, that's like mid to high range. And it's going neck and neck with that card at like a significantly lower price because of the way that the Navi architecture is. And I could go into detail about what makes it so cheap, but we don't have 2 hours. And so yeah, they've got some really good performance numbers. They did it with the Strange Brigade benchmark, which is admittedly a benchmark that's kind of tailored towards AMD, but every vendor like that kind of focuses on numbers that'll make them look better. But even then, it still looks really good, and the amount of efficiency that they're pushing into those cards is very good. And while for a lot of tech nuts, it's really good to see AMD pushing this hard with their GPU. It's also really good to see that this kind of technology will be in the PS5, because consoles have had this annoying thing where they're significantly behind on technology, but now that they're being brought up to date, it'd be really interesting to see what developers can push out of these new consoles. And then after that, we have their new line of CPUs. So they have the Zen 2 architecture, which is another piece that the PS5 will have. So there's a lot of technical stuff that I can go on about here. I'm not going to, because I don't want to bore everyone more than I already am. But to put it in layman's terms, they've basically made the CPUs more powerful for less amount of power usage, which is really good. And then they announced a new line of CPUs, the Ryzen 9. I think it was the 3900X, which has 12 cores, which is an astounding number for a consumer GPU. To put that into perspective, if you were to go to Intel side to get 12 cores, you'd need to spend about twice, if not 2.5 times as much. And the AMD's offering still beat that out. So they're doing really, really good work. And I'm kind of curious to see what the speeds and power of the PS5 will be because of what they're doing with Zen 2 and Navi. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing higher clock speeds in consoles due to the amount of TDP that these components are putting out.
So, as someone who's just bought a AMD Radeon 7 GPU, should I be feeling buyer's remorse?
No, the AMD the Radeon 7 is still a very good card, and I think for a lot of what you're using it for, because I helped you build it, a lot of what you're using it for is you'll see probably some more benefits out of that, especially with the higher bandwidth memory. But
Nice.
it's kind of if the only reasons anyone would feel buyer's remorse for a Radeon 7 would probably be because of the price, and the only reason it's that expensive is because of the memory it uses.
Very nice. I don't really know what any of what you just said was, but it all sounds impressive. No, I'm definitely keen to see what they sort of do with the internals with the new consoles, and try and, I guess, understand more about what it all means and all that jazz. But we might wrap it up with just a little bit of off-topic talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Not Carlton, because they're terrible. But have you seen any Ed? Have you watched, as the film buff of the group? Have you seen any good films or TV shows lately?
Do you know what? I've actually been really bad with keeping up to date with movies and TV shows. I still haven't watched The Rain, but I do know what it is. So that's like a step ahead of everyone else, I guess.
Sorry, I haven't watched episode season 2
Actually,
yet. So.
we did establish before last week's podcast that I actually did know what The Rain was. I just didn't know it by name.
Right. Although I did actually just start watching the Castlevania anime on Netflix.
How good is it?
It's so good. Yeah. I mean, I watched Devilman Crybaby, and that was like insane, which is another Netflix anime. And so I was kind of expecting good things from Castlevania, and it was great. I just finished season 1. It's only 4 episodes, like half an hour each episode. So I recommend maybe chucking it on and seeing if you like it.
Have you watched?
It's really good.
Have you watched Violet Evergarden?
No.
You should watch it if you want to feel like a piece of shit.
Great.
It's really
I didn't
good.
think
It
you
makes
needed
you
to
feel
watch it
sad.
Anybody else watched anything of note lately?
I mean, I finally watched Detective Pikachu, but we discussed that, a week 2 weeks ago. So
I
Let's
haven't
go.
watched it yet, so no spoilers.
Tell me the whole story. I want to know everything.
okay,
Pikachu solves a case.
that's it.
Guys, spoiler alert. Fuck.
And there are credits at the end.
Oh. Kieran, have you watched anything at all? I haven't seen John Wick yet.
I haven't seen John Wick. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I left it too late, and most of the VMAX showings have been replaced by Aladdin. So
Have you watched Godzilla without Zack yet?
no.
I only just sort of got what you said.
I thought you said God is a dealer.
What is that? No,
That sounds great.
Comes out tomorrow on Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Tomorrow night?
So
Thursday?
I guess we'll hook that up soon. Speaking of Aladdin, I'm going to see that on Friday. I'm very excited for that. That's probably
I'm
my
kind of keen to see it.
Yeah, it's my favorite Disney film. Probably in my top 10 films of all time, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
reckon.
yeah. That's
Sorry?
pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you
What
like
about
it
The
more
Lion
than
King?
Dumbo?
I haven't seen Dumbo.
Like
Wait,
the
hang
original.
Lion
on,
King.
hang on, sorry. Wait, who asked? Okay, one person at a time. Because you're confusing me. Someone's saying Lion King, and then someone's saying Dumbo.
Troll and
Kieran,
I.
go. So, do I like it more than Dumbo? Yes. Do I like it more than the Lion King? Yes. The only
Yeah,
other
Thank you.
The only other two Disney films that would maybe come close to it would
Frozen.
be Treasure Planet
Yeah, I really want them to do a live action Treasure Planet.
and Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, I love Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably the only two films that might threaten Aladdin's crown, but yeah, the rest, like, a lot of them are good, but no, they're the three that definitely do it for me.
So, did any of you guys play the Emperor's New Groove game on the PS1?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
sounds awesome.
Man,
All of the Disney games on the PS1.
it's so good.
Hercules,
So good.
Tarzan.
Hercules, I remember that, yeah. Was there a Tarzan game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
It was dope.
Wow, do you even game,
Um,
bro?
No, I don't. Do you remember the Aladdin game on PlayStation, also known as the Sega
On the Mega Drive and Super
Yeah.
Nintendo. That was one of those. That was one of those ones that was different depending on what console you played it on as well.
Yeah.
That was hard, I think, from memory. I think I still got it.
Yeah.
I almost got stuck at the part where you're trying to escape the Cave of Wonders. Because all the lava's collapsing and you're flying on the magic carpet.
On the magic carpet. That bit was,
Yeah, that was intense.
All those games are bullshit hard. And now I can't even beat
The Lion
Wolfenstein
King on
the
Game
hardest.
Boy was like unplayable. It was that hard.
Just I guess while we're on the topic, when I was playing the Mega Drive a few months ago, I was playing Tailspin. Like, do you guys remember that?
Nice.
Nice.
And that game is hard.
Hmm.
I think me and Kieron tried to play it, different other Kieron, and we couldn't get past like the second bit. We were terrible.
Old games. They're hard.
I also blame my controllers because they're
Don't blame
Like
the
third
controller, blame the
You
player.
got Mad Cats.
No, hang on. They're like third party ones, and I think they were
Gross.
no, wait, and they had this bit of screw thing that would go in the middle of the D-pad, so you might put like a joystick on it. I think from memory. Anyway, the joysticks have gone, so now there's this big, like, hard bit of metal like poking in the middle of the D-pad, which hurts your hand.
Have you tried
Like,
turning it off and on again?
I actually was looking at buying new controllers the other day, but then I closed the window and carried on.
Are you gonna
with my
get
day.
the Mega Drive Classic?
I don't know. I've got like the Sega Mega Drive hits of the PS3, but I don't
You
know
need to
if
get the PS4 one.
I know, but I don't know if there's
It's
enough.
so good.
Does it have columns?
Yeah, I think so.
Then if it has columns,
sure it would.
then I'm down.
I think it's got columns 1 and 3.
Oh, I love it. I love columns.
All it needs is Golden Axe
And Streets of
that's it.
Rage.
Yeah,
and Streets of Rage.
yeah.
I can't wait for number 4. 3, 4.
Both.
Is that in your most anticipated?
No, because I don't know if it's coming out this year.
We don't know if it's coming out at all.
No, this one's definitely coming out, but that original like prototype that leaked, that was sexy, man. Whew. It's gonna be warm in this podcast. Anyway, we might wrap it up.
All right.
Great. You
Great.
gonna do an outro?
I haven't quite decided yet.
Wow, just put him on the spot in the podcast.
This is the only way direct action begets change.
It is. I needed this. I needed to be brought into line in front of everybody and basically shown up how to do it. So everyone, thank you for listening. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us for the very first time. Hope you stick around. If you want to check out the WellPlayed content, you can jump to www.well-played.com.au for all the juicy and jort tightening details and content there. You can read my Draugen review as of 90 minutes from now. So yeah, thank you for joining us and see you next time.
See ya.
So yeah.
See ya.